Hello everyone, Jason Merkel with Horizon Hobby, and we're out at Eli Field today with the new E-flite Ultimate 3D. Some of you guys may recognize this airplane because it looks a lot like the Ultimate Squared that we had out a few years ago. It's basically the same airframe as that model. At that time, some years ago, it was pretty darn good. It was good, relatively good 3D performance, pretty good power to weight ratio. Obviously times have changed. People like to have more power, better control, and then smart technology on top of that. So what we did is we took that original model, we updated it, and we upgraded it. We basically changed all the electronic components, servos, motor, ESC, receiver, everything is different. The airframe, we did change the looks of it a little bit by changing to this trim scheme, which I absolutely love. I know it's subjective when it comes to looks, but this scheme is sharp. Some of you might recognize this scheme from a previous E-flite Ultimate that we had some years ago. We did change the colors out a little bit, and then what's really cool is on the bottom, we've got checkerboard. So that makes orientation really, really good. Airplane, of course, comes finished like that from the factory. You don't have to apply any decals. You don't have to put any paint on it. What's really nice about this airplane is it goes together very, very quickly. It's a 950 millimeter wingspan biplane, which may not sound that large compared to 1.3, 1.5 meter airplanes, but it's a similar class of model to the, basically like the Timber 1.5 meter, but being a biplane, it has smaller wings. Most people won't need to take it apart for transport, but if you wanted to take it apart, it has really cool toolless disassembly and assembly. So it's got a quarter turn on the top wing and on the bottom wing to keep those in place. Super easy to take the wings off there. And then the interplane struts have these quick release pins. So you basically would pull this pin out and that takes the struts off. Super easy to do, quick and easy to do if you wanted to take the wings off for transport. Again, most people probably aren't actually going to take it apart. And the nice thing is that if you do keep it together in one piece, you can usually fit it even in the trunk of a car, backseat of a car, no problem. Get that pin back in there. And then on top of that, the rest of the assembly is very, very easy out of the box. You basically have to slide the stabs on. There's some tape that holds those into place. There are two different stab joiners included. There's a lighter weight fiberglass tube, and there's also a heavier steel joiner rod. I've installed the steel joiner rod because I do plan to use 4S batteries primarily. So a 4S battery, of course, being more weight in the nose to help balance it out and get the CG where you want it. I do have the heavier crossbar in the back. I am primarily flying it myself with 4-cell 2200 milliamp 30C Spektrum Smart LiPo batteries, but the power system has been upgraded to be 3S and 4S compatible. So the battery compartment was designed around a 3S 2200 back in the day. It's a little tight on a 4-cell 2200. Some may not fit very well. The Spektrum batteries fit great. They fit just like a glove in there. I push mine all the way back against the back wall for 3D flying, and it has pretty good neutral handling upright and inverted with very little elevator pressure. 3-cell 2200 does fit. I've flown it with everything from a 3-cell 2200 up to the 4-cell 2200, and also I did try a 4-cell 1800. The 1800 was nice because it got the CG a little bit further back, but of course the flight time was shorter. You could probably fit up to a 3-cell 2700 depending on the shape of that battery in there as well. So we recommend anywhere from 3-cell 1800 to 2700, 4-cell 1800, probably up to 2200 at the top. And then on top of that, again, we have a specially tuned motor with a new design prop. So the prop and motor are different than the original Ultimate Squared. And then those are both attached to a Spektrum Avion 60 amp Smart ESC. So both the plug and play version and the bind and fly basic version come with that power system, including that Spektrum Smart ESC. The Smart ESC is phenomenal. If you have a compatible receiver, you will get smart telemetry data back to your transmitter. So in the bind and fly basic version, we do have the AR637TA receiver, which is full range telemetry. And that's not only full range telemetry with a regular battery, and of course also then with a smart battery. So if you have a smart battery installed, which has the third wire, you do get additional data that you don't get with a regular battery. So you get individual cell voltages, you get battery temperature, you get a lot of really cool data with a smart battery that you don't get with a standard battery. But if you do have a standard battery, you do get overall pack voltage. You can still set up low voltage alerts in your transmitter instead of waiting for the airplane to hit LVC. So that's very nice. You can be flying around, and if you have a voice equipped transmitter, you can have it tell you your voltage is low, you need to land, so on and so forth. And then on top of that, you have motor RPM, you have current, you have the temperature of the ESC itself, a lot of really, really great data. Again, full range telemetry if you have a compatible airwear equipped transmitter. So we've got smart components installed. The servos have been updated to metal geared and they're higher torque and higher speed, which works really, really well for a 3D airplane. So it's got very large surfaces, of course, and if you want to do 3D aerobatics, you want to have really good fast servos with good torque in there, which this does. I've flown the original Ultimate Squared and I've flown this model. The feel is night and day different. This airplane feels more precise. We did some things to help stiffen the airframe a little bit more, but of course we've got those better servos in there on top of that. And then it's also great just having this kind of more powerful power system on tap. With a 3-cell LiPo, a pretty good 3-cell LiPo battery like the Spektrum Smart 30C, it'll hover at about full throttle. With the 4-cell, it'll blast off vertical, tons and tons of power. So it might be just a hair less power on 3-cell than the original had, but of course on 4-cell, it's a lot more power, which is pretty awesome. Again, it's, I think, better looking. It just looks a whole lot more modern. It looks a whole lot more kind of unique, relatively speaking. And Ultimates, of course, are very, very good airplanes for a lot of different kinds of flying. You can do just standard scale flying, really smooth and simple. You don't even have to do aerobatics. But then you can do, on low rates, some smooth aerobatics, sport aerobatics. And then it's also now really good at precision aerobatics. Again, these servos are much better and the control is much better than it had before. So you can do really nice point rolls, 8-point rolls, 16-point rolls if you're a good enough pilot, really locked in knife edge, everything. It does it very, very well. And then on top of that, now that we have more power and we've got a little bit stronger servos, we have even better 3D performance. So everything you can think of, blenders, high alpha, wicked snaps and spins and tumbles, this airplane can do them all. And a couple quick tips on that. I did find that out of the box, I set it up the elevator control rod and everything in the locations and the servo arm and the control horn that we recommended. And it's getting about 30 degrees of throw at full elevator. I thought maybe that wouldn't be enough for 3D flying. Trust me, I'm glad I tried it like the PD guy suggested, because it is. You can definitely move the ball link in on the control horn to get more elevator throw, but I don't think you're gonna need it. And to be honest, the vast majority of people that fly this airplane are probably not gonna want to fly it on high rates all the time. I am actually using the high rates and low rates recommended in the manual, which are 100% and 70%, but then I also have it on a 3-position switch and I have it set up at 50% on the low rates. And even on 50%, it has really good aileron authority and a lot of elevator authority. So my recommendation is to set up a 50% low rate out of the box, start there for your first flights, and then of course you can flip into higher rates if you so choose, if you need to. I don't think everybody will unless they're doing 3D flying. And then something else we didn't talk about that's really unique to the smart technology in this model is we do have optional use motor reversing. The motor reversing literally reverses the motor and it gives you some reverse thrust capability. So it's really cool. You can taxi backwards on the ground, you can make a landing and flip into reverse to have a shorter rollout. Up in the air, you can do vertical downlines with even full power reversing. It won't quite stop, but it'll slow down, and it's a really unique sound and a really unique look, and then you can flip back to forward thrust and fly right out of that. It's a really cool feature to have. It's currently hard-coded to channel 7, so you do have to have a 7-channel transmitter to take advantage of that. You have to assign it to a switch using the information that is in the instruction manual for that, and then you have the ability to switch back and forth pretty much instantaneously at any time on the ground and in the air, which is really, really cool. And then of course in the Bind and Fly basic version, we have AS3X and optional use Safe Select. So if you have the PMP version, you can fly with a 4-channel radio. If you have the Bind and Fly basic version and you want to use Safe Select, you need at least a 5-channel transmitter. But again, if you want the motor reversing, you need at least a 7-channel transmitter. And so this is my shameless plug. If you are looking for a new transmitter, if you're ready to upgrade, I strongly recommend going to at least an 8-channel transmitter. It used to be that a 6-channel transmitter got the job done for a very long time for a lot of models, for a lot of guys, but more and more of our airplanes, from E-flite in particular, are going to have additional features that require 7 or even 8 channels down the road. So strongly recommend DX8, DX8E, DX9, IX12, so on and so forth. So there you guys have it, an overview of the new E-flite Ultimate 3D. It's updated, it's upgraded. I think it looks better. It definitely flies better, and it definitely has a lot more power. And on top of that all, it's smarter too. So be sure to check it out. Thank you.